Thank you all for showing up at this late hour session regarding Surface and optimizing Surface deployment and connected standby. This topic is somewhat misleading from its text. It could be mentioning something about Surface as a service. However, that name would be too cloudy. So we stuck with some of the features that we're actually going to present today, and that will be optimizing Surface deployment. And one of the key features that actually makes Surface Pro 3 what it is, connected standby. Now, also added to connected standby is that most people would find this labeled as instant go. The reason why I still use the old name connected standby is because IT pros will regard this as a connected standby when they troubleshoot it. So my name is Alex. I'm a product manager for Norwegian IT Pro magazine, and I also work for IT department in Norway in a municipality. With me here, I got Olav Tvedt, one of the world's most, forefront leading deployment rangers. So he's going to show and tell about Surface deployment. I'm really glad to have Olav here.
Yeah, and I'm glad to be here. It's nice to be here with Alex and talk about the cool device that is Surface. You have a lot of fancy features in the Surface that you don't find in other PCs. And that's make it a big part of my job, because I am deploying computers, and when you deploy computers, you want to deploy Surface as a computer as well, and you need to take in consideration every bit of new drivers, firmwares, and stuff that still a little bit different than other PCs.
That is true. So first of all, I just wanted to give you a little heads up about what the Surface experience actually is. So Microsoft is promoting this product as the device that can replace your tablet and your laptop. I'm going to show you some of the key features from the Surface and how you actually can replace both your tablet and your Surface with this, your tablet and your laptop with the Surface, and some of the key features around these. But one of the Surface experience that's actually been pushed that nobody actually kind of misses out on, everyone misses out on this one, is that these products are actually constantly updated and added more feature and compatibility to. Many people have heard about secure booting and have trouble secure booting the Surface Pro 1 and 2. They added a firmware update that you actually now can manage through Config Manager and Intune.
The special thing with the Surface is that it doesn't actually have a legacy BIOS. All other computers, when you get trouble deploying them, a lot of people just skip UEFI boot. We just turn it on, legacy mode, and then it works. It's the totally wrong way of doing it, because UEFI boots gives a lot of feature you want. So with Surface, you actually have to make your boot system available for UEFI system as well.
Yeah, that's true. And some of these key features that you want is secure boot, that you actually can secure your device during booting. You can actively manage and maintain the BitLocker, so your device is encrypted from every aspect from the boot sequence starts and throughout the entire session of the Surface powered on. So the Surface is it's still a PC when you deploy it, but you gotta take a couple of different things in consideration when you deploy it, because you want to do the secure boot, and there are a couple of hints and tweaks that you gotta do to make it right. Also, you always heard that I bought my 3-year-old iPad, and now it's days only playing and gaming and everything. Well, I bought my cat a Surface Pro 3. Not only did I buy my cat a Surface Pro 3 to illustrate that everyone can use a Surface Pro 3, it isn't that advanced. But what happened was that actually my grandma was so furious, she took that Surface Pro 3 and she now uses a Surface Pro 3.
And the cat is stuck with the iPad, right?
Yeah, the cat is stuck with the iPad. It's actually quite furious.
The cat is mad.
The cat is mad. And it's actually something that you don't need to use all that time to learn, because it's actually quite simple. Most people buy a tablet device because it's simple, but the Surface is equally simple as long as you don't, of course, explore the deep dive functions in Windows. It's actually there for tablet functions as well. As mentioned, some of the special features that you won't find in a regular laptop is that you have a software installed BIOS. As you can see on the slide, you will actually find the firmware installed as 4 different components. You got the embedded controller firmware, the system aggregate firmware, the touch controller firmware, and the UEFI. Now, one of the cool features about doing this is that not only can you update your BIOS and UEFI, you can do it without actually touching the computer. What I'm saying is, you got 1,000 computers in your organization that's running old firmware, or BIOS if you want. Now you want to upgrade this because there's a security breach in this UEFI or BIOS, and someone's got to do the job. So what you do is that you clear your schedule, you do a week, and you visit laptop from laptop to deploy a new firmware and actually entering the system's configuration to do the update manually. By doing this, you actually can push out the firmware by using Intune or Config Manager, or deployment by any other means. Actually, while exploring this feature, Olav mentioned to me, what, a new daily firmware update? What he experienced was actually this. We had to redeploy this Surface Pro 3 in order to make sure that our deployment session after would work. And every time he redeployed Windows 10 or Windows 8 on the Surface, you also had to update to the newest firmware because the image had the old version. So I laughed and I said, I wouldn't tell him anything. This also goes pretty much for a lot of these components inside the Surface device. Like many people in the beginning complained that the Wi-Fi card was unstable when it came to certain access points, and it behaved in a way that was inappropriate. This behavior has now been sorted out. I'm going to show you a couple of things that not only the drivers work in this way, but it actually works in a way that makes other features work.
Just a second, going back to the user experience, something we need to tell is that if you take off the keyboard in Windows 10, it switches over to the tablet mode. Just to get the user experience that it's now a tablet, you click it on, and then you will have a fully grown PC. So Windows 10 do take care of a lot of the needs coming in the Surface as well.
Yeah, that's quite true. So what I'm going to show you now is that actually from the lock screen, you boot up your device, and prior to putting in your password, you'll find the lock screen. And the lock screen is now both a lock screen to tell you that your device has been locked, please re-enter your computer, but it's also a new status update screen. What you're seeing here is the Wi-Fi state, the battery state, I got a new email, and something happened to Skype. What you actually experience is instantaneously when you wake up your device, it's actually already logged onto your Wi-Fi. This sequence is already been started while the device is in sleep. It doesn't have to wake up and then start all these processes. It's already ready to go, so instant go. And it also actually been updating your email while being asleep, and it does a couple of other nifty features. Keep in mind this start screen. Just like IT pros, we never sleep. We connect even when standby. If your phone rings, you're asleep, Olav always picks up. He says, hello.
You don't answer me when I send you mail at 4 o'clock at the night. I'm disappointed.
That's quiet hours. The normal desktop applications won't get any CPU time. So when you use Outlook or a legacy desktop application, you won't experience any connected standbyness. So this is something you want to take in mind, because people say, I got this new feature, I got this new Windows 8, and I don't use connected standby. But first of all, not all devices support connected standby. Second of all, not all applications are liable for connected standby. And those are the legacy desktop applications like Outlook and like Photoshop. Modern apps, like presented, have some activity. They do updates, they do pushing, they do pulling, they do the background tasks that they're supposed to do. But the high activity apps are those that are presented on the lock screen, the one that's marked out. So if you got an important mail awaiting, you want to pull it up to the start screen so it actually gets more CPU time. Now the Windows services running in a context as 0, they're actually running as a service, meaning that they actually do a frequent update somewhat that might appear to be twice a minute. That is something that's out and need to know when troubleshooting the device if you have a connected standby issue, that the services actually does something with your device pretty much twice a minute. Altogether, even though the computer is in sleep and it does things, they do background tasks, it uses less power than a regular device not having connected standby. Many people say, it only got 8 gigs of memory, I need 16. With some of them I do agree, but when purchasing these 8 gigs of memory, you actually purchase them to a price that would be equivalent to 24 gigs of memory. The chips are almost 3 times expensive to use the low power states.
But will this connected standby, will it drain my computer and just use power for 2 days when I don't connect it?
The Surface Pro 3 behaves in this way. The firmware tells the device to go to connected standby. And it tells it to go to connected standby for 4 hours. While in connected standby and achieving a successive connected standby state, it will stay there for 4 hours, and after 4 hours, it will go to hibernation mode.
That's the reason why you didn't answer my email at 4 o'clock last night.
Yeah, because it went to hibernation.
Okay.
Yeah. So to preserve battery, it will go for a hybrid solution in a total of 12 hours, and then it goes to permanent hibernation mode, just like you experience in any other laptop using hibernation. So as you see here, during regular sleep, CPU is off, the memory is in self-refresh, and the memory is everything is shut down on the CPU, so it uses about 2 seconds from you pull the plug or push the button till you see something on the screen, and then you got to start doing all these updates connected to Wi-Fi and so on. And it also uses more power. While in connected standby, some CPU threads are scheduled, like shown on the previous slide. Memory are also still in self-refresh, so nothing new there, but it uses less than 0.2 seconds from you push the button till it's ready. And everything is up to date, and it is connected to your Wi-Fi. So what I'm going to show you now is actually a demo to how Instant Go work. And by Instant Go, for IT pros, I mean connected standby. So what you're experiencing, your desktop applications won't be able to proceed with their threads, but modern apps will. So what I'm going to show you now is that I'm going to start up one song in a Windows Media Player from an x86 desktop application. And I'm going to open another noisy song in the modern app applications. Now you hear the machine is actually playing 2 different songs in 2 different media players at the same time. I push the device to sleep, and only the modern app is actually still working. The desktop application is put to sleep, not receiving any CPU refresh cycles. Waking up back up.
So you can actually save a lot of power when you listen to music without having the legacy application running. So you can start it up, it goes into sleep, and it doesn't use up all your power.
Yeah.
So you can rock much longer.
Rock much longer, and your screen is off, so you can actually use your privacy as well. Instead of having everyone in your party actually looking at your monitor, you can put it to sleep, no one can use it, but it still can play just like your tablet. Something else that's quite cool is that, of course, you got the email app that will update your emails frequently, but your son is in abroad on a different time zone. It will cost them a fortune to call you, and your computer is sometimes in sleep and sometimes you're sitting using it. But when does your son know? So what do? You simply open up Skype from a modern application. This is my second Skype account.
I'm ready to call you.
You ready to call? In fact, well,
yes, my son, I'm ready to call you.
Thanks, Dad. So let's put the device to sleep.
Then it's in sleep, and I call you.
I'm not sure if he got my new Skype account.
Did you set it up with a new Skype account?
That's just a typical dad calling me on my old Skype account.
Yeah, then you have to call yourself.
I don't have to call myself.
I know what I want to call you right now, so but call yourself. That's a better idea.
This is a typical demonstration problem. You got to call yourself while trying to figure out things. You get a second account. So what I'm doing from my Lumia is I'm calling myself from a second account to my primary account, and the device wakes up while in sleep. This is something you won't experience if you got a regular laptop not using connected standby or instant go. Well, of course, now you got a couple of apps here running. You can see I got a new email, I got a new Skype message.
Be also aware, if you are running Windows 10 to try and test it out, it's not a good idea to run it on your Surface as the main OS, because it's still a little bit buggy, the build that's out now. For instance, the demonstration we just did on an ordinary Surface with Windows 10 build 9926, it will not turn itself off again. So you will suddenly have run out of power, or you will have a really hot backpack. So on the Windows 10 build that is out now, and there are missing a lot of Surface features, but please test out the deployment to see that it will run on your hardware, but be aware that it will not run like a Surface, it will just run like a PC, right?
That is true. And in order, okay, you got Skype turning in background, you want a computer to go to sleep, you still want the connected readiness or connected standby, but you don't want all the alerts to pop up because your backpack is somewhere where you're actually in a library, for instance. Your device is connected to the Wi-Fi because it does that still while in sleep, because it's actually not in sleep. So what you want to do is that you want to go to PC settings, and you want to go to search and apps. Of course, that makes sense. Search and app it's the same thing, right? So what you want to do is you want to go to notifications, and you can actually change Skype to not notify you. Then you have connected standby, you have instant go, but you don't have this feature waking up everyone while they're sleeping at the library. Also, important to tell you this is that someone uses Config Manager to deploy their software. Then you're actually going to have Software Center Manager here. And if there's some applications that don't actually manage to be installed as in a regular way, you experience something that go wrong, this will actually keep your device awake. So if you experience something bad from Config Manager point of view, you can actually switch this off so you don't experience a bad Surface as well. So you can turn these two off, and you still got connected standby, and you still can use the core features. As Olav pointed out, Windows 10 is not ready for Surface yet. Some of the reasons are that Windows 10 isn't prepared. The current build isn't prepared for all the features, and some of it is actually the lack of good drivers. So what you will see is that some of the power controllers and some of the drivers are actually not supporting the deep cycle sleep. So if you try to boot up a PC without the appropriate drivers, you won't be able to put it asleep altogether. The Surface you can put asleep, but not in a good way. So the first thing you actually want to see if you have a connected standby issue is all my drivers up to date, and is everything okay? If you see a yellow flag, it's not okay. The second thing you want to know is, does your device in fact support connected standby? And you do that by typing in a simple command, powercfg -a, and you see that it actually supports connected standby. A device is not supporting connected standby, you will only find sleep. If the device has all the driver current, everything is okay, and it supports connected standby, and it still experience a bad appropriate behavior from your device, you might troubleshoot what is going on. As you can see, the desktop applications do not get any connectedness, while your modern apps and services do. One of the services that's most frequent offenders is Windows Update. because there is an update to Windows. It wakes your device, connect to the Wi-Fi, start downloading updates, start your SSD drive to install those updates, and then go back to sleep. Now,
is there any good way we can get a better view of what actually drains the power?
Yeah, I'm going to show you that, because also the power configuration tool can show you a sleep study.
Do you want me to go to sleep now so you can study?
That would be quite nice, Dad.
Yeah.
So this one generates a report instantaneously. It's quite fast. You can open this HTML document from the System32 folders. You've got to copy it to somewhere else. So let's do that to C:\_ overwrite the one I got, and I got a new report that says Sleep Study Report. Now this is an HTML document, so it would present the report quite easily, in a quite user-friendly manner, in fact. And you can see here the different ways that connected standby actually lasted. And as you see here, they're not using Instant Go, which the device would be labeled when you purchase them. It would be labeled as connected standby, why I'm using the word connected standby. Now you can also see the battery drains from the last 10 days, up to 10 days, if you want to do that, by adding an extra parameter in your report generation. So from this scale, you can actually see the power drainage and the charging, but also you can see what went wrong and did I have a successful connected standby. So here we actually had one state, and it was last night during the morning, and you can see that you actually had connectedness from about 32 seconds refresh cycle, which is about the time I figured out that Windows services are running. So this is actually a good connected standby mode. Even though this was successful, you can see there are some offenders running from keeping the device awake every 8 seconds and every 16 seconds. And my top 5 offenders is actually the Wi-Fi card and my SSD drive. Now the Wi-Fi card is a little hard to troubleshoot unless you know there's something specifically going on, but something that we've noticed is that your Surface is currently in connected standby, and there's 2 access points. It's not sure which one to choose, and it drops out, so you always keep on changing what access point to reach. Now this is actually something that keeps your device to wake up every now and then to do the ipconfig refreshness. So in case you experience some connected standby issues, it might not be a bad device, it might actually be a bad environment.
And the funny thing is actually, if you remember the cat that got the Surface that the grandmother took, it was actually his grandmother that taught him this. So
yeah, that's true.
It's so easy tool that even his grandmother can do it.
So one of the other things that you always hear is that, well, I can't purchase this Surface because it doesn't have LTE. That's probably one of the main reasons I hear that people say, I miss LTE, and of course I reply, well, why do you need LTE? And they reply, I don't know. Most people don't know why they need LTE, they just need LTE. Well, there's a difference between what you need and what you want. You need food, but you want that Aston Martin in front of the Microsoft stand here. Most people actually purchase a tablet with an LTE support only to see you unlock your device and telling missing SIM card. Now this is actually something that people are trying to work around. I would love to see the Surface with a built-in LTE, but I'm going to show you something that actually makes you not missing LTE. From Windows Phone 8, Update 3 and 4th, you actually found a new feature. This feature makes your phone, while connected to Bluetooth, capable of being discovered as a hotspot. Now, to prove you this, I'm going to show you in a little bad way. My camera isn't that good. Here you can see my device actually, as I said, not in a good way, but you can see that there is a cellular data and Wi-Fi in quiet hours. Now, to show you this, I'm going to actually connect it to my hotspot, which is currently hidden. There's connected. Connect to this, and you see all these tasks are running in behind, and it actually activates your hotspot for you, and it's connected to your Wi-Fi throughout your cell phone. No password requirement. It works without any hassle.
You just have to pair it with your Bluetooth before you start doing it.
Pair it once, works always. And of course, there's one trade-off, and that is your cell phone battery. That you can change. If you're seriously dependent on LTE function, and you're seriously dependent on your cell phone, you can't do anything about it. Surface Pro 3 is not for you.
Yeah, you can have a hotspot.
Yeah, of course
device.
You can have a hotspot device, but if you really, really don't want this extra device, you only want your cell phone and a Surface, you can do it really simple like this. And also the Lumia is almost half the price of an iPhone. Yeah. So there's no extra cost.
And twice the quality.
And twice the quality. True, true. Other things that's special for Surface is that if something goes wrong with your Surface device, you can both manually do a self-service portal, myservice.surface.com. This is a website where you can actually manage your Surface replacement. If you have a faulty device, faulty charger, you can just pull up a service requirement from this website, and everything goes straight forward there, and you don't actually need to hassle with your own support crew. Many businesses are small and medium businesses with only 20, 30 employees. You don't actually have the enterprise benefits with your own support contact. By using this, everyone can use the same benefits. You also get a pretty painless website to download drivers from. Anyone who tried to download drivers from an OEM vendor knows that you have to navigate throughout various websites. And of course, which device do I got? Did I get the APAC model, the European model, the one with a Broadwell CPU, or which one? You got the same label from the device name, but it got different components inside. So you got to choose which drivers you need, and it's actually quite a hassle. From Surface point of view, you got one driver package, you select the Surface edition you got, download one package.
I don't believe you, so show us.
Yeah. And like, oh, sorry. And like everything else, you just want to bing it. Surface drivers, and it's a top search. You push download, and you find a list. Do you want to download for Pro 1, Pro 2, or Pro 3? Now here's a nifty feature that Olav's going to tell you about, the difference between the MSI package and the regular package. But actually what you're doing is that you download one package for one device, and you don't have to figure out if you bought the APAC model with that network card, or with that graphic card, or whatnot. It's one package. Another feature is that if something goes wrong with your Dell, with your HP, with your Lenovo, and you need to reinstall your operating system, you can find the OEM factory installation kit. This is something Microsoft have dealt with. So what you actually can do is Surface image download.
So you mean that I don't have to create the disaster recovery CD that's the shortcut on every PC you buy?
Well, I'll leave that one to you, but what's actually a benefit here is that if you are an end user or enterprise user with limited resources, you actually can download and manage a disaster recovery image from the website of Microsoft.
But be aware that you still have the recovery image on your device if it works. So you can boot into Windows RE environment, and you can redeploy your computer from the device without downloading anything. But if that solution doesn't work because you have had some bad experience and destroyed some partition, it's nice to know that you are not relied on creating those pesky little DVDs to recover your PC. So
that's to my point. And the reason why I want to show you this is that when you add your Surface device to the Surface management site, your device serial number will actually determine what kind of ISO file you'll be able to download. So if you purchase a device in Asia, you will get one image. If you purchase your device in the Nordics, you get a different image. So in case you're a multinational corporation, and let's say Olav here is from China, and he comes to Norway, and something goes wrong, I can actually download his image by just entering his serial number, and I get his image. He doesn't need to use my Norwegian firmware or language pack.
Yeah. But still, I think there is big trouble with using the custom, not custom-made image, just the default image.
Yeah, you
so
think so?
I think we need to talk about how we connect this cable.
Upside down? No.
There we go. We have the famous one-size-fits-all problem, because some guys are bigger than other guys, some are smaller, and we can see here the one-size sweater doesn't actually fit this child. So I did a random question at my company where I just asked for t-shirt number and the height of the people. I wanted to ask about the weight, but all the women get annoyed at me. Told it it's anonymous, but we got t-shirt and we got height of the users. So going in and looking at these numbers, we will see that most people are large. So let's buy 50 large t-shirts. Okay, it will not even fit 50% of the users. Considering the height, I actually find out that the average height is 181.5. And nobody was 181.5. There was one person that was 181. All other had different heights. Going down to 5 centimeters, it will be just about the height that make everything painfully to try to fit into, if it's the wrong height. So we actually figure out that 25 people, 50% was actually so out of the scope of the average that it didn't fit. So coming back to that, we just know that the image that comes with your Surface is a good image. It's a decent image. It doesn't have that much crapware, if none at all. But still, it doesn't fit my need. My need will be to have applications. I want the enterprise version because I want to go online with direct access to the company, and so on. So the pre-configured image might not fit us as well as we want. So let's talk about deploying into enterprises. So we want to see what we do to make the Surface work as it should in our environment. Like I talked to you in the beginning, there are some different aspects with the Surface because it's a more extended device than an ordinary PC. So we will make sure that we get everything right. So the first thing we will do is read the guide. Then we create driver packages, and then we start to modify the task sequence, and we will maybe create a USB device, because Surface users are mobile users. So he will have his device, he will be on the road, and never come home, like my son here, never come home. So if we create a USB, he can actually have a disaster recovery whenever or wherever he might be, and we can send it to him by mail, and he don't have to join the domain anymore because we have Azure Directory device joining that will take care of the security part. To get the model name out of all our surfaces, you can run one of those commands. And the funny thing is that the Surface Pro is called Surface Pro 3, 2, and Surface with Windows 8 Pro. That's the model name when you do a query. So you need to have these exact queries to make sure that the driver packages we have downloaded will fit into the system. I have prepared a configuration in MDT where I have downloaded some application because the Surface actually need some additions. There are 2 updates that should be installed on your Surface when you deploy it.
What do these two updates do?
This update will be related to your fancy pen.
Ah, okay.
So
I wanted that to work.
Yes. If you want to set up the pen, you need to deploy those two updates. I also have injected the Surface Pro MSI with drivers, but I don't want to inject the drivers as an applications. That might be the way we will do it in Configuration Manager, but now in MDT, I will just use the out-of-box drivers instead. So I have one part here that cannot be installed as an update. That's the reason why it's an application. And then I will hide it from the application list, and I will use the VMI resulted information to make sure that only Surface Pro 3 will install this application update. Then we have the packages, where we will find the latest of the two updates I was talking about. And this one can be installed like an update. So I just updated in here. And I have the other 10 Windows 10 updates that was available. Be aware that injecting this update this way is a bit different than all the updates I usually deploy, because when I deploy updates, I create the reference image, patch it up, and then take a capture and deploy it. The problem is that those two updates will only come into the system if it's a Surface 3. So you will be missing those updates in your default image that you use to all other computers, even though if it's patched last night, it will still miss those two. So you have to either force them in or deploy them on this way. So we have the out-of-the-box drivers. I have created a structure with the name that the VMI query created for me. We can also see in here that we find those funny firmwares, as drivers. So we update the firmware during the installation of the device. Then let's go and see about what we do in the task sequence. I have created a couple of task sequences, among others the Pro version, the Enterprise version of 8.1, and the third one is Windows 10 build 9926. You are not able to push Windows 10 out with the MDT 2013, but there are workarounds to do it in a test environment, because you have to change some files. If you want to try it out, you can go to my blog and you will get a guide on how you can fix it, by the help of Johan, of course. So let's go into one of the task sequence. This is basically standard stuff we do here. I have added for support of Windows 10, I have added the DSM from Windows 10 media, so I have the possibility to deploy Windows 10, copy the subsystem files. The difference I'm using here is I'm using a task sequence to define the variable for driver group and pointing it at Windows 10 x86/model. And that's the name I got from the query. So I know that this is the right model name, so it will only select drivers that's in the right space. So next thing that it's a bit strange is that I'm going into inject drivers and select nothing in the selection profile. Okay, because I don't want it to go into the driver's store and inject whatever it feels like it needs. So we select nothing. But the funny thing is that we actually still say, install all the nothing. And that's strange, because the text here is misleading. It's not install all driver from the selection profile. It's install all drivers that I need to install, given the set of rules I have on driver installment. And if we go then back to the set the driver part, that's a big part of it. The reason why I need to do this is because on this device over here, you will have a gigabit adapter, maybe, for network, or the 100 megabits adapter, Ethernet adapter, and it will not be connected when you deploy it. It can be connected, but are you using the USB, it will most likely not be attached to the device. So we will make sure that all drivers are effectively installed on the device. So it's nothing big, it's just that we do to make it work on MDT. On Configuration Manager, you would most likely use the MSI file instead of the driver packages because of the firmware updates. Let's go back to the slide. I also want to integrate just a little bit Oneget. Oneget is a cool feature to make sure that you can install application on an easy way from a provider. For now, Oneget is out in previews, of course, and the providers are Chocolatey, for those who have heard about them, NuGet, it's PowerShell modules from Microsoft, and it's whatever you have on your own environment, so you can point to files locally. The good thing is that we sooner or later will be able to create our own private provider. We can now go into NuGet and create our own provider part in NuGet, but it's not totally controlled by us. But it's possible to use some settings tool from the NuGet site to create your own provider, and then you can add the provider and install it from a trusted zone. So let's just show something. Instead of just talking about it, we will start PowerShell as admin.
Well, it's the PowerShell command line that actually hooks up the chicks, right?
It's always the command line that takes the chicks. Yeah. We just use the find package command to find stuff. For instance, I want to find Java. We all want to install Java on our PCs. Let's hope the network is better now when there is not that many people around. Let's see, we got, sorry. We run the find package Java. We find a lot of Java packages, but it's not the one I want to run. The Java runtime is on the start of it, and I know I want that package, only that package, or maybe I want an older version. I can actually use a parameter called version to get the version 705 instead of the newest one, 775. So I can now use the command install packages and point to whatever I want. But to combine it, I will actually use the same find package, Java runtime. Just run it once more. It comes back with only one packages. I pipe it into install package. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because then I have the search. I've liked the answer from the search, and then I install it the same way, just to make sure. And also when I write a PS1 script, it's easier to do it this way. We'll see later when I run the script. So here we have find package, install package, and did something happen?
It seems like it kind of is already installed.
Might be I forgot to do something, but it should give us something back. Let's see what the execution policy is, because you have to have right execution policies. Okay. No, something's not right. It could be the connections that's a bit up and down. So just let's go to the next step. This is, of course, the way all your users would love to manage their installations, right? Hey, you need something, yeah, you need Office 365, yeah, just go into PowerShell and type in find package, blah, blah, blah. So we will actually love to do this on an easier way, and then we have different ways of doing it. We could use MDT, other package management solutions, or we could write a script and copy it to our users. This is still in a early phase, so the command lines have changed a couple of times. But I created, with the help of a colleague of mine, a nice script that will give the user a list of applications and a way of selecting them. So we can see here, we got some actions. It's saying loading application from list. That's the list I have created. And this is the list of application I want to be able for the users. And you had right, Java was installed.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, but it should give a feedback that it's installed. So, like you can see on the list, you will now have the possibility to select application, and it actually use just a text file as a source for the applications. On Chocolate, I think you have about 75,000 applications or something like that.
Yeah, but are they all trusted?
They are not trusted. And as you can see in my list over here, let's hide them. In the script, I don't want my users to have unrestricted. Let's see, it's a problem with the zooming in our computer there. I don't want to say to all my users, set the execution level to 0, because that's dangerous. Unrestricted, then everything can run. So I rather run an execution policy bypass for that provider or that session. I could select in Oneget to have a provider marked as trusted, and then we will not get all these questions. Or I can just bypass the execution policy for this instance of PowerShell command. And that's the way I'm doing it here. So I just select something, and you can see that it have some green stuff here. Tomorrow, or maybe the next day, this will most likely be red, because then we will have Java 7.0 76 or something like that. And then I can just push it again, and it will install the newest version of Java. So it's also an easy way for users to have this script laying around on the desktop or something else. If they are on their Surface, never at the office, we don't have a possible way to push it out to them. We still give them a tool that makes it possible for them to update and install the application they need. We can just every now and then give them a new app file to download or something, and they can get new apps here. I can also be a provider for all my customers, so they can point to me as a trusted provider and download Java from my source. So you don't have to use the available sources in the cloud from different vendors like Chocolate, and maybe Microsoft will create their own provider for some of their applications. I also wanted to integrate this into MDT and figure out that to do this in this build, I need to get the Oneget files. You can do this by copying the, sorry, not Oneget, the NuGet package. The NuGet files, you can download it and put it in a structure, and then it will work. But I just figure out that doing this manually, running just this part here, it will actually tell me that, hey, you cannot search for anything on the Oneget providers because you don't have the NuGet package. So I just did a random search, and happened to be the NuGet package, and it will say, do you want to download NuGet and install it? And that's the reason why I added the force. So may the force be with you. So it now install the NuGet unattended. So the next line in my script is actually just doing the same, finding the package, and run install on it. Sorry, here it's just install. So that's the only thing I have to do in MDT. MDT will have an update one sooner or later. Hopefully it will be integrated. Hopefully it will be integrated in Config Manager and other great products. But it's an easy way of adding packages. It's also a safe way if you can find a provider that will give it to you. So you don't have to rely on Chocolate. Chocolate are great, but people can upload packages and say, download my package. OK, let's download your package. And if it's Alex that made it, I will never download it.
Yeah, because it's untrusted, right?
Yeah, you're my son, and I don't trust my son, of course. So, I closed the presentation. Then we give it back to you.
So what you're actually telling me, Olav, is that you can use PowerShell to install applications and actually update applications?
PowerShell is king.
PowerShell is king. Well, have you ever
and
tried?
It's the way that you get the girls, right?
Yeah, that's true. But have you ever tried using PowerShell on a Surface? Anyone here tried using PowerShell on a high-resolution monitor? No. I figured that out because that's actually something that PowerShell users tell me that, okay, how could I actually read what's popping up on this PowerShell screen? Because when you open PowerShell on your Surface, you can't read anything. It's absolutely impossible to read absolutely anything from the PowerShell command line window. Now there is actually a bug in PowerShell, and there's 2 bugs to follow up the 1 bug.
It's a triple bug for 1.
Yeah, it's
yes.
three for 1. What you're experiencing is that PowerShell is using a different font than the command line window. It's using the Lucia font. Now what you actually experience is that the Surface doesn't support the Lucia font, and the exception list that should be able to compensate for this also fails, which actually tells, let's switch over to bitmap font. But since the Surface never entered through the exception list, it just rasterizes the windows and completely destroys the view. So in order to try to figure things out, I hope that something would tell me where to go. So I open PowerShell to see where the file located me, and it is in the Start menu folder. So what you're experiencing here is that the shortcut from this Start menu also shrinks. Okay, so let's see how the executable file runs. It still shrinks. So there seems to be no way to work around this. But just fumbling around, you try to do silly stuff, and you create a new shortcut. What you actually experience is that the executable file is trying to run the shortcut with the parameter to run the Lucia font. So you will always experience this bug unless you actually create a new shortcut. So let's do that. Let's replace the original shortcut with the new shortcut we just created. There. And let's delete the old one. So what you got now, let's just close PowerShell here. So what you got now is a PowerShell shortcut that works. But something that happened in Windows 8.1 is that you got back the Start menu. And by opening the Start menu, by right-clicking it, you can open up Command Prompt. Most people actually want to change this, so you do get PowerShell. Replace Command Prompt with PowerShell.
And that's not a good idea if you don't use your workaround.
Yeah, because if you want to use PowerShell now, it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because this uses the legacy shortcut, so you got to rename this one to Windows PowerShell, continue as admin, and do it again. And it works. So Windows is actually looking for something that has a bug, which again has a bug. But by doing a workaround with actually just adding a new shortcut that doesn't use the Lucid font as default, it solves the problem. What Olav is going to show you now is how you actually experience the deployment session. The deployment session for a Surface Pro 3 is actually the MDT show and tell window.
If it works.
It seems a little unstable.
Yeah. It might be the WinPI drivers. Okay, we do it the other way, just holding up.
Just holding up the device.
I can even go and show it to everybody in the room, so that's not a problem. the stuff I have done now, it's the deployment I show you on the MDT. I have put it onto a USB stick. And because of the VMI queries in the drivers, if this is a Windows Surface with Windows 8 Pro, or it's a Windows Pro 2 or 3, it will actually install the right drivers. So I can use the same USB stick on all my devices, instead of having one for 1, one for 2, and so on. I can use the same one. So you can just go in, start the deployment, and it will be there. So you just put in what OS you want to select, and you are up and running. So let's just close this and show the nice deployment picture, right? You have the angel, Olav, and you have the little devil, my son.
So what you're actually telling me is that in case you're on travel, the Surface is actually meant to be a device that uses for people on a mobility scale.
Yeah.
And if someone gets their device stolen or lost, you could actually just go out, purchase a new device, and use this memory stick to get back up and running with your enterprise image, right?
Yes, and all your applications and everything you need. So of course you can use Windows to Go, but most likely this will save you because you are never at the office anyway. So Windows to Go is a quick solution right now. But having the stick and you have some problem with your PC, if it's a Surface, you cannot change the hard drive. You have to get a new device. But on other PCs, you can just have the stick and refill it. The reason why this is getting more important now than earlier is that more and more devices will never ever be connected to our environment at the office, so they will not be a part of Active Directory. So then we need to make sure that they can do stuff like this to give the right enterprise version on their Surface, and you can just mail them a cheap little stick. You can also add the applications. So if I have this device and I don't want to redeploy it with the image from the company, but I can still use MDT to have a task sequence that lets me show the Oneget application list, or the application list that we have created. So on my bring your own device Surface, I can still get the application I need.
So you're actually telling me that you can use a Sky service as bring your own Surface?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So that's all for today. Our first session said enjoy NIC, but since we're last off in this session, we say stop enjoying NIC, and it's time to go home. Thank you all for showing up.
And please give us some green grass on the way out. So if you're mad, take a red one and write Alex on it. That's my name, right? I'm Alex. So if you're mad on me, cool.
Okay. Thank you all, and safe home.